The morning began like any other, a symphony of distant chatter and the sweet, yeasty scent of fresh bread already warming in the ovens. Below the distant, silent mountain, the vibrant city hummed with life. No one could have known, as the first rays of dawn touched the grand temples and bustling streets, that by sundown the air would choke with ash, and the extraordinary, ordinary rhythm of their lives would be silenced, instantly, forever. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we journey 2,000 years into the past to witness the final poignant hours of Pompeii, a vibrant Roman city truly frozen in time. What happened on that fateful day in 79 AD didn't just bury a city. It preserved a whisper from the past, offering us an unparalleled window into the very heart of ancient Rome. And I guarantee by the end of this video, you will never look at history, or indeed your own mortality, the same way again. We uncover incredible stories like this every single week, so if you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed right now. Alright, enough talk. Let us step back into the sun-drenched streets of Pompeii. The sun, a benevolent eye in the azure sky, was just beginning its ascent over the eastern hills, casting long, cool shadows across the sleeping city. It was August 24th, 79 AD, in a small bakery near the Stabian Gate. Lucius, a man of strong, flour-dusted hands and a kind, weary face, was already deep into his morning routine. The air, thick with the comforting aroma of baking bread and smoldering wood, was his sanctuary. At 37, Lucius knew the rhythm of his life as intimately as he knew the curve of a well-baked loaf. He had risen hours before dawn, kneading dough in the dim light of oil lamps, the sweat already beading on his brow despite the cool morning air. His short dark hair, usually impeccably combed, was now mussed, and a fine dusting of flour clung to his trimmed beard and simple dark tunic, blurring its edges. He pulled a fresh batch of bread from the brick oven, the crust golden and blistered, the smell utterly intoxicating. The loaves, still radiating fierce heat, were carefully placed on a wooden rack to cool. Soon, the first customers would arrive, their coins jingling, their morning greetings echoing in the small shop. Lucius found a profound satisfaction in this work, in the simple, honest craft of feeding his community. He envisioned the families that would gather around tables, breaking his bread, sharing stories. It was a humble yet essential role in the grand tapestry of Pompeian life. Just a few streets away, the city was slowly stirring. The sounds of vendors setting up their stalls began to filter through the quiet alleys, the distant bleating of a goat, the low rumble of a cart making its first delivery. For Valeria, a young woman of 18, this particular morning held a nervous excitement. She stood before a bronze mirror, adjusting the folds of her elegant terracotta-colored stola, a garment that flowed gracefully around her slender frame. Her long, dark braided hair, meticulously styled, framed a face with expressive, slightly anxious eyes. Today she was to meet with a potential patron, a wealthy merchant's wife who had expressed interest in her delicate embroidery work. It was a chance, a real chance, to secure a steady income and perhaps even a measure of independence, something precious for a young woman in Pompeii. Valeria took a deep, steadying breath, trying to calm the butterflies fluttering in her stomach. Her small wicker basket, containing a selection of her finest samples, lay on a nearby table, ready. She ran a gentle hand over a linen cloth, intricately stitched with a garland of ivy leaves, the threads glowing subtly in the nascent light. Each stitch represented hours of painstaking work, each pattern a fragment off her quiet ambition. She imagined the bustling forum, already alive with activity, and the throngs of people she would navigate to reach the merchant's house. The city, usually a source of comfort and familiarity, felt vast and slightly overwhelming this morning. As the sun climbed higher, painting the terracotta rooftops in hues of gold and rose, Pompeii began to awaken in earnest. Lucius's bakery was now a hub of activity. A steady stream of customers, from slaves sent by their masters to prosperous matrons carrying their own baskets, filled the small space with chatter and laughter. Lucius moved with practiced ease, weighing loaves, making change, offering a kind word to each person. He listened to the gossip, the complaints about the price of olives, the latest news from the gladiatorial games. Life in Pompeii unfolded around him, a vibrant, continuous narrative. He heard talk of distant tremors, an occasional shiver of the earth that had become almost commonplace in recent weeks. Vesuvius grumbles, an old woman chuckled, as she always does. Just a restless old god. Lucius nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips. The mountain had been a part of their lives for generations, a silent, imposing backdrop, a source of fertile soil and strong wine, never a threat. Valeria, meanwhile, was making her way through the narrow, cobbled streets. The air was growing warmer, carrying the mingled scents of blooming oleander, roasting meat from a nearby thermopolium, and the ever-present aroma of fish sauce from the market. Her senses were alive, absorbing the symphony of the city. She saw street artists sketching a caricature, children chasing a stray dog, a group of senators in pristine white togas discussing politics with animated gestures. The walls around her were a riot of color, adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting mythological scenes, political slogans, and advertisements. Every surface told a story, a testament to the city's unbridled vitality and artistic flair. She clutched her basket a little tighter, navigating around a vendor selling exotic fruits, his voice booming over the general din. The Forum, the heart of Pompeian public life, was now in sight, a grand expanse of marble temples, basilicas, and administrative buildings. The sheer scale of it always impressed her, a symbol of Rome's enduring power and influence. Today, it was even more crowded than usual, perhaps due to a special market day. Merchants called out their wares, lawyers debated cases, and citizens simply strolled, greeting friends, exchanging pleasantries. Valeria reached the grand portico of the merchant's villa, her heart thumping a little faster. She smoothed her stola one last time, took a deep breath, and announced herself to the household slave at the door. The meeting went well, better than she had dared hope. The merchant's wife, a woman of discerning taste, admired her craftsmanship, particularly the delicate floral motifs. Valeria left an hour later, her wicker basket now lighter, her purse heavier by a few denarii, and her spirits soaring. The promise of future commissions filled her with a sense of accomplishment. She allowed herself a small, triumphant smile as she stepped back into the cacophony of the city. The sun was nearing its zenith, casting stark, unforgiving light on the streets. Lucius, having served the morning rush, was now resting briefly in the shaded back room of his bakery, sipping cool water. The incessant hum of the city, usually a soothing backdrop, felt slightly more insistent today. He wiped his brow with the back of his hand, his eyes closing for a moment as he savored the quiet respite. He could hear his apprentices in the main shop, preparing for the afternoon's baking, their youthful banter a cheerful counterpoint to Thesides' drone. He thought of his own small family, his wife, who was visiting her sister in a nearby town, and his young son, who would be playing in the courtyard of their modest home, unaware of the day's relentless pace. He missed them, a pang of warmth and longing in his chest. Around noon, a subtle shift occurred. The air, usually crisp and clear, seemed to develop a faint haze, almost imperceptible to the casual eye. A few citizens, gazing up at Vesuvius, might have noticed a wispy plume of smoke, a faint trail against the brilliant blue. But Vesuvius had smoked before, had grumbled before. It was part of the mountain's enigmatic character, a familiar presence that had never truly threatened them in living memory. The fertile volcanic soil, after all, was what made their wine so rich, their crops so abundant. The mountain was a provider, not a destroyer. Valeria, after her successful meeting, decided to treat herself to a light lunch at a popular thermopolium. She found a small, shaded table and ordered a bowl of lentils and a glass of cold wine. She watched the people around her, absorbing their energy. A group of gladiators, their muscles rippling beneath their tunics, laughed raucously at a nearby table. A poet, deep in thought, scratched verses onto a wax tablet. Life was full, vibrant, seemingly eternal in its ceaseless flow. She felt a connection to this ancient, thriving community, a sense of belonging that was both comforting and exhilarating. The slight shimmer in the air, the faint, distant rumble that she felt more than heard, was easily dismissed as the ordinary workings of a busy city, or perhaps a distant summer storm brewing. As the afternoon wore on, a peculiar stillness began to descend upon Pompeii, subtly at first, like a hush before a performance. The haze intensified, softening the sharp edges of the city, muting the vibrant colors of the frescoes. The sun, once a brilliant orb, now appeared slightly veiled, its light diffused, casting an eerie yellowish glow. The air, which had been warm and pleasant, grew heavy, a strange oppressiveness settling over the city. A few birds, disturbed by some instinct known only to them, took flight in sudden, chaotic bursts, their cries sharp against the uncharacteristic quiet. Lucius felt it first in his bakery. The flour, usually light and airy, seemed denser, clinging to his hands with a strange stickiness. The air was heavier, thicker, and he found himself taking deeper breaths, though the scent of bread was still a comforting presence. He looked out into the street, noticing fewer people than usual, the bustling afternoon activity seeming to dwindle. A young apprentice, wiping down a counter, paused, his head cocked to one side. "Master," he ventured, "do you hear that?" Lucius listened. A low, persistent rumble, almost like distant thunder, resonated from the direction of Vesuvius. It wasn't the familiar, comforting grumble. This was deeper, more resonant, a sound that seemed to vibrate in the very bones of the earth. He stepped outside, shading his eyes, and looked towards the mountain. The plume of smoke, which had been barely visible that morning, was now undeniably larger, darker, a defiant column rising into the sky. It wasn't an ordinary cloud. It was too dense, too black against the unnaturally yellowed sky. A shiver, not of cold, but of an inexplicable dread, traced its way down his spine. He had never seen Vesuvius quite like this. Still, the old woman's words echoed. Vesuvius grumbles, as she always does. He tried to reassure himself, to push down the unsettling feeling, but the rumble intensified, a continuous growing thrum that made the ground beneath his feet tremble almost imperceptibly. Valeria, having finished her lunch and feeling the afternoon heat, was now making her way to the public baths, hoping for a refreshing soak before returning home. The baths, usually a lively social hub, felt strangely subdued. Fewer people were gathered in the palestra, the exercise grounds, and the voices in the changing rooms seemed hushed. She too noticed the peculiar light, the heavy air, the strange, continuous vibration emanating from the earth. As she settled into the tepidarium, the warm room, a group of women whispered nervously. "The mountain," one said, her voice barely audible. "It sounds angry." Valeria's anxiety, which had been a fleeting sensation earlier, began to solidify into genuine unease. She remembered the minor tremors of the past weeks, dismissed as unimportant. Now, combined with the darkening sky and the insistent tremble, they coalesced into a chilling premonition. She decided against lingering at the baths. A sudden, violent jolt, stronger than any before, rippled through the building, causing the mosaic tiles on the floor to clatter and a few small cracks to appear in the plaster walls. A collective gasp rose from the bathers, followed by a sudden rush for the exit. Fear, cold and sharp, now gripped Valeria's heart. This was not normal. This was not familiar grumble. It was just after 1 p.m. when the true horror began. With a terrifying roar that drowned out all other sounds, Vesuvius erupted. not with lava, but with a colossal column of ash, pumice, and gas blasting miles into the sky. From the streets of Pompeii, it was a sight of unimaginable terror, a monstrous black cloud boiling upwards, churning with dark energy. The air was filled with a high-pitched whistlings as superheated rock, and gas were expelled, and then, slowly, silently at first, the first flecks of white ash began to fall. Lucius, standing outside his bakery, watched in stunned disbelief as the sky turned from its sickly yellow to an ominous, suffocating gray. The rumble was now a deafening roar, a continuous assault on his ears. The first few particles of ash drifted down like enormous, ethereal snowflakes, settling on his hair, his shoulders, the warm loaves of bread cooling on the rack. They were light, almost powdery, but more followed, faster now, a thickening veil descending upon the city. People spilled out of their homes, shops, and taverns, their faces touched with confusion, then growing terror. A woman screamed, a child cried. The initial panic was a chaotic wave, spreading through the streets. Some ran aimlessly, others froze, paralyzed by the sheer, incomprehensible spectacle unfolding above them. The air grew heavier, the light fading rapidly. It felt as though the very heavens were collapsing. Valeria, scrambling out of the baths, found herself caught in a surging tide of humanity. The streets were choked with people, jostling, pushing, their faces pale with fright. She felt the first stinging particles of ash on her skin, saw them collecting in her dark braided hair, dusting the terracotta stola. The graceful lines of the architecture were now blurring, softening as the ash began to accumulate. The glorious frescoes, the vibrant street art, were rapidly being muted by this insidious, colorless shroud. The air, once merely heavy, was now difficult to breathe, a fine grit irritating her throat and eyes. The roar from the mountain was relentless, and the earth trembled almost continuously beneath their feet. She saw families clutching each other, mothers desperately searching for their children in the swirling chaos. Her mind screamed for her own home, for the safety of its familiar walls, yet the way was blocked by the surging crowd. The city, which had moments ago been a place of warmth and familiarity, was transforming into a terrifying labyrinth, each turn a new challenge, each step a perilous gamble. Lucius, witnessing the mounting panic, made a snap decision. He could not stay. He had to reach his family. He dashed back into his bakery, grabbing a small leather pouch of coins and a heavy cloak. He threw open the back door, hoping to find a quieter path through the alleys. But the alleys, too, were filling with desperate citizens, their faces contorted with fear and urgency. The ash was falling thicker now, a relentless, growing deluge that coated every surface. It accumulated rapidly, turning the familiar cobbles into treacherous, shifting terrain. He saw people slipping, falling, struggling to regain their footing. The air became even more acrid, filled with the sharp, sulfuric scent of the eruption. His lungs burned with each breath, and his eyes watered, stinging from the grit. He could barely see 10 paces ahead, the city dissolving into a grayscale blur. The roar from Vesuvius was interspersed with terrifying, crashing sounds, like enormous boulders being hurled down. These were the larger pumice stones, now beginning to fall, raining down upon the terrified populace. They were not just dust anymore, they were projectiles. One struck the roof of a nearby house with a sickening crunch, sending splinters of tile flying. Another landed with a thud just meters from Lucius, a fist-sized chunk of porous rock. Panic seized him with renewed force. This was not a storm. This was something far, far worse. He joined the frantic, desperate flight, pushing through the crowd, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. His only thought was his wife and son, a distant image of their faces burning in his mind like a beacon. Valeria, caught in the central throng, felt the first pumice stones begin to fall. Small at first, like large hail, they soon grew in size and frequency. A sharp impact on her shoulder made her cry out, a stinging pain that momentarily eclipsed her terror. She looked up through the swirling curtain of ash and saw the sky alive with fallen debris, a deadly rain descending upon them. The beautiful terracotta stola, which had brought her such pride that morning, was nodern, stained, and heavy with ash. She spotted a narrow archway leading into a quieter side street and instinctively pushed her way towards it, desperate for any refuge. The weight of the ash on the ground was becoming immense, sinking her feet with every step. Her lungs burned, her throat was raw, and her eyes were almost completely obscured by tears and grit. The sheer, overwhelming noise of the eruption, the crashing pumice, the terrified screams of the crowd, was an unbearable symphony of destruction. It felt as though the very world was ending, not with a bang, but with a suffocating, grinding whisper of stone and ash. The city, minutes ago a vibrant testament to human ingenuity and joy, was now a tomb in the making. The streets, once pathways of bustling life, were becoming impassable riverbeds of falling debris. The air, once breathable, was a toxic mixture of sulfur, dust, and rock. The clock was ticking mercilessly towards an unknown, terrifying end. As the afternoon wore on, the eruption intensified. The column of ash and pumice stretched ever higher, forming an ominous dark cloud that blotted out the sun entirely. The air grew colder, even as the volcanic gases filled it with suffocating heat. The pumice, once small, now rained down in larger, heavier chunks, crushing roofs, smashing through windows, turning the city into a deadly labyrinth of collapsing structures. The weight of the accumulating ash was enormous, pressing down on everything, slowly but surely burying the city alive. Lucius, driven by a primal urge to survive and to reach his family, found himself in a residential street, desperately seeking shelter. The pumice stones bounced and crashed around him, some as large as a man's head. He saw neighbors, friends, desperately trying to protect their children, huddling under porticos, but nowhere seemed safe. The roofs were groaning under the unprecedented weight, timbers splintering with chilling cracks. He spotted a small, sturdy-looking taberna, its wooden awning already collapsed. He scrambled inside, gasping for breath, his chest burning. The air indoors was marginally clearer, but the constant rumble and the drumming of pumice on the roof were deafening. He huddled in a corner, coughing violently, trying to clear his lungs. His hands, usually so steady, now trembled uncontrollably. The fear for his family was a cold, hard knot in his gut. He was trapped. The streets outside were a death trap, and the buildings were collapsing around him. Valeria, after much struggle, had found a temporary refuge in a small, empty workshop, its entrance partially protected by a collapsed awning. She was huddled against a wall, trying to control her ragged breathing. Her entire body ached, bruised from the falling pumice and the frantic pushes of the crowd. The terracotta stola was now gray, heavy with ash, and she felt the grit in her teeth, in her hair, on her skin. She pulled her cloak tighter around her, shivering, despite the oppressive heat and the sulfurous air. Through a small, unglazed window opening, she could glimpse the apocalyptic scene outside. The once familiar streets were now unrecognizable, covered in a thick, sloping layer of ash and pumice. Buildings were crumbling, their proud facades collapsing inward. The sky was an infernal, continuous explosion of dark cloud, streaked with ominous flashes of lightning created by the friction of the volcanic particles. The roar was constant, a monstrous, primeval sound that seemed to emanate from the very bowels of the earth. She thought of her family, her mother and father, and a wave of despair washed over her. Were they safe? Had they managed to flee? The uncertainty was a torment. As evening approached, a ghastly darkness descended upon Pompeii, a darkness far deeper than any night. It was the darkness of the volcanic cloud, blotting out the sun, moon, and stars. transforming the world into a realm of terrifying, suffocating blackness. The eruption was now reaching its terrifying climax. The pumice fall began to slow, replaced by something even more insidious: fine ash, incredibly dense and hot, falling like a silent, deadly snow. This ash was heavier, finer, capable of penetrating every crevice, every opening. It mixed with the rain of larger stones that still occasionally fell, creating a deadly slurry that encased everything. Lucius, still trapped in the failing taberna, felt a new wave of terror. The fine ash began to seep through the cracks, dusting the floor, clinging to his skin. The air grew impossibly thick, each breath a struggle. He could feel his lungs burning, his throat closing. He tried to cover his mouth with his cloak, but it offered little protection against the microscopic, suffocating particles. He could hear other muffled cries, desperate coughs from nearby collapsing buildings. The city was not just being buried, it was being asphyxiated. He thought of his son, his wife. He imagined them, perhaps caught in the same impossible predicament, gasping for air, alone. A profound sadness, a crushing grief began to settle upon him, heavier than any ash. He could no longer fight the inevitable. He closed his eyes, his mind replaying fragments of his life: the warmth of his wife's hand, his son's laughter, the quiet satisfaction of a perfect loaf. He hoped against all hope that they had found a way out, that they were safe somewhere beyond this living hell. His breath came in ragged, painful gasps, each one weaker than the last. His strong, flour-dusted hands, which had given so much life, now scrabbled weakly at his throat. Valeria, too, felt the suffocating onslaught of the fine ash. It coated her lungs, her eyes, her skin. The workshop, once a refuge, was becoming her tomb. The air was unbreathable, a hot, acrid cloud that stole her breath. She struggled to stand, to find a way out, but her legs were weak, her head spinning. The crushing weight of the ash outside pressed against the walls, creaking, groaning, threatening to collapse the entire structure. She sank back against the wall, her small wicker basket still clutched in her hand, the samples of her beautiful embroidery now covered in gray dust. Her expressive eyes, wide with fear, slowly began to lose their focus. She yearned for one last glimpse of the sky, of the vibrant city she had known, but there was only impenetrable darkness, a darkness filled with the roar of the mountain and the ceaseless, deadly whisper of the falling ash. She envisioned her family, their faces, their voices. A quiet, heart-wrenching sob escaped her lips, choked off by the suffocating air. Her fingers, delicate and artistic, slowly relaxed their grip on the basket. The city, which had cradled her hopes and dreams, was now claiming her last breath. The initial phase of the eruption, dominated by the column of ash and pumice, lasted for roughly 18 hours, from approximately 1 p.m. on August 24th until the early morning hours of August 25th. During this time, Pompeii was buried under several meters of material, but the worst was yet to come. In the very early morning, as most of the city, as inhabitants who had not already fled or succumbed, were either dead or dying from asphyxiation, a new, far more devastating phase began. The volcanic column, having reached its maximum height, suddenly collapsed. This collapse unleashed a series of pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of gas, ash, and volcanic debris, traveling at incredible speeds, scorching everything in their path. These flows were unimaginably hot, hundreds of degrees Celsius, and moved with the force of a hurricane. The first flow, unleashed around 6:30 a.m. on August 25th, tore down the slopes of Vesuvius and engulfed the nearby town of Herculaneum, vaporizing its inhabitants instantly. For Pompeii, though partially shielded by its position, these flows brought a final, absolute wave of destruction. Although the city was already deeply buried, the flows rolled over it, compacting the ash and pumice into a dense, solid matrix, baking the city within its own tomb. Any remaining structures that hadn't collapsed under the weight of the ash were obliterated. Any life that had stubbornly clung on was instantly incinerated, leaving no trace but their hollow forms within the hardened ash. It was this final, catastrophic phase that truly sealed Pompeii's fate, preserving it in astonishing yet chilling manner. The layers of ash and pumice, swiftly deposited and then compacted by pyroclastic flows, created an airtight seal. Everything below these layers was frozen in time, exactly as it was at the moment of burial. Food on tables, bread in ovens, frescoes on walls, even the very air itself, trapped in the lungs of those who perished, was perfectly preserved. For nearly 17 centuries, Pompeii lay forgotten, a lost city buried deep beneath the earth, its existence a distant memory, if remembered at all. The very top of the burial mound was slowly colonized by new vegetation, new settlements, its tragic secret hidden beneath vineyards and fertile soil. The precise location of the ancient city faded into legend, becoming a mere footnote in historical texts, often confused with other buried sites. The mighty Vesuvius, having unleashed its fury, returned to a deceptive slumber, its slopes green again, overlooking a landscape that had forgotten the cataclysm. The first tantalizing whispers of Pompeii's existence began to resurface in the late 16th century. During the construction of an underground channel to divert the Sarno River, workers stumbled upon ancient walls adorned with paintings and inscriptions, but the discoveries were largely misunderstood and covered up again. At the time, there was little interest in archaeological excavation, and the true significance of the findings was lost. The world wasn't ready for Pompeii. It wasn't until the mid-18th century that serious excavations began. In 1748, a farmer digging a well rediscovered the site. Under the patronage of the Bourbon King of Naples, Charles III, systematic excavations commenced. Initially, the diggers were treasure hunters, more interested in looting valuable artifacts for royal collections than in scientific research. They tunneled through the hardened ash and pumice, often damaging delicate structures in their haste. Marble statues, bronze objects, and exquisite frescoes were stripped from the walls and sent to palaces, their original context tragically lost. The scale of the discoveries, however, was unprecedented. Entire streets, houses, temples, and theaters began to emerge from the earth remarkably intact. The sheer volume and quality of the preserved Roman life captivated the imagination of Europe's elite. Grand tours often included a visit to the burgeoning excavation site, and the Pompeian style influenced art, architecture, and fashion across the continent. Yet, the true potential for understanding ancient Roman daily life remained largely untapped due to the unsystematic approach. It was Giuseppe Fiorelli, appointed director of excavations in 1863, who revolutionized the process. Fiorelli understood that Pompeii was not just a quarry for treasures, but a unique historical record. He introduced a systemic stratigraphic excavation, mapping the city, cataloging every find, and implementing methods for preserving the fragile remains. He recognized the value of the mundane, the everyday objects that spoke volumes about ordinary Roman lives. Fiorelli's most poignant and profound innovation was born from observation. He noticed hollow spaces in the hardened ash, occasionally containing human bones. He theorized that these voids were the imprints of bodies that had decomposed over the centuries, leaving behind a perfect mold of their phenomenons. In a stroke of genius and profound empathy, he developed a technique of pouring plaster into these voids. The results were astonishing and haunting. When the plaster hardened and the surrounding ash was carefully chipped away, perfect casts of the victims emerged. These were not statues, but petrified moments of human suffering and despair. The casts revealed men, women, and children, frozen in their final, agonized postures, hands raised in futile defense, faces contorted in terror, bodies curled in fetal positions. They captured the precise folds of their clothing, the expressions on their faces, even the details of their hair and jewelry. Among these chilling records of the past, we find the poignant echoes of lives like Lucius and Valeria. While their individual plaster casts may not be definitively identified, their stories are woven into the collective tragedy. Imagine Lucius, perhaps one of the many men found clutching sacks of food or tools, caught in the act of fleeing or sheltering, his hands still reflecting the calluses of a baker's life. His face, frozen in a silent plea, tells of a man who fought for breath until the very last. His final thoughts undoubtedly of his absent family. The bread left to cool in his oven, the flour dusting his shop, are all silent testaments to his life, abruptly interrupted. And Valeria, perhaps one of the casts of young women found curled up, clutching a small item, her body eloquent in its posture of fear and resignation. The delicate lines of her elegant stola, preserved in the plaster, suggest a life of care and refinement. Perhaps the small basket with her embroidery samples was at her side, its contents also entombed, hinting at a young woman with aspirations, with hopes for a future that was snatched away in an instant. Her braided hair, captured in the hardened plaster, speaks of beauty and youth, extinguished too soon. These human casts transformed the perception of Pompeii. It was no longer just an archaeological site. It was a testament to human tragedy, a window into the immediate, visceral experience of an ancient disaster. These were not anonymous Romans. They were individuals, just like us, living ordinary lives until fate intervened with unimaginable violence. They allowed the modern world to look directly into the faces of the past, to witness their final moments with a heartbreaking intimacy. The preservation of Pompeii extended far beyond human remains. The city's daily life, its very pulse, was captured in exquisite detail. We see loaves of bread still in the ovens of bakeries, carbonized but perfectly shaped. We find graffiti scratched onto walls, revealing the jokes, political opinions, and romantic declarations of ordinary citizens. Shop signs still hang above doorways, advertising taverns, brothels, and craft stores. Pots, pans, and tools lay exactly where they were left, waiting for hands that would never return. In the lavish villas, intricate frescoes adorn the walls, their vibrant colors defying the passage of time. These paintings offer a glimpse into the aesthetic tastes, religious beliefs, and mythological narratives that enchanted the Roman elite. From serene garden scenes to dramatic depictions of gods and heroes, they provide an unparalleled insight into Roman artistic prowess. Even delicate objects like glass vials of perfume, jewelry, and coins, normally perishable or easily looted, were found intact. The sheer domesticity of the finds is perhaps the most striking. We can walk into a Roman home and understand its layout, its decoration, the objects that filled its spaces. We see the family altars, the Lauraria, where household gods were worshipped. We find children's toys, dice for gambling, even musical instruments. This level of detail allows historians and archaeologists to reconstruct not just the grand narratives of Roman history, but the intimate stories of everyday life. What people ate, how they dressed, what their homes looked like, how they entertained themselves, and what they valued. Pompeii, therefore, offers a unique time capsule, an unblemished snapshot of a Roman town on a specific day in 79 AD. It illustrates the sophistication of Roman engineering and urban planning, with its complex water systems, paved streets, and public amenities. The Grand Forum, with its imposing temples and basilica, speaks of the city's civic pride and its connection to the broader Roman Empire. The vast amphitheater and gladiatorial barracks highlight the Roman obsession with spectacle and entertainment. The public baths, with their intricate heating systems and lavish decorations, reveal a society that valued hygiene and social interaction. Even the humble aspects of life are revealed. The countless small shops and workshops, Like Lucius's bakery or the potential workshop, Valeria hoped to secure commissions from demonstrate the bustling economy and the diverse trades that sustain the city. The distribution of homes, from grand villas to modest apartments, illustrates the social hierarchy of the Roman world, from the wealthy elite to the enslaved laborers. The eruption of Vesuvius was a cataclysmic event, a moment of unimaginable destruction. Yet, paradoxically, it was also an act of preservation unparalleled in human history. It did not just destroy a city. It saved it from the ravages of time, from centuries of weathering, looting, and subsequent construction that would have erased its memory. The ash that suffocated its people became the very blanket that protected their legacy. As we stand in the excavated streets of Pompeii today, amidst the ghostly plaster casts and the silent ruins, we are not merely observing history, we are experiencing it. The silence of the city, broken only by the whispers of the wind, is a profound contrast to the vibrant chaos of that fateful morning. We can almost hear the clamor of the forum, smell the bread baking, feel the warmth of the sun on our skin. Before the darkness descended, Pompeii reminds us of the fragility of life, the unpredictable power of nature, and the enduring human spirit that builds and thrives, often unaware of the impending doom. It is a powerful, humbling testament to the fact that even in destruction, there can be a strange, poignant form of immortality. The lives of Lucius the baker and Valeria the embroiderer and countless others, though tragically cut short, live on through the frozen moments of their city, speaking to us across millennia, urging us to remember, to learn, and to appreciate the precious fleeting gift of each ordinary day. The story of Pompeii is not just a tale of destruction. It is a profound narrative of rediscovery, of humanity reaching across the centuries to touch the hands of those who came before. It is a city that died to live again, a ghost city that speaks louder than many living ones, forever captivating our imaginations, forever reminding us of the day the world stood still. And with every new excavation, with every carefully uncovered artifact, another piece of the puzzle, another human story, emerges from the ashes, bringing the heart of ancient Rome a little closer to our own. Thank you so much for joining me on this profound journey into the heart of ancient Pompeii. It's stories like these, those deeply human moments preserved against impossible odds, that truly connect us to the past. If you found yourself captivated by this lost world and want to uncover more forgotten tales and extraordinary histories, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Your support helps us bring these incredible narratives to life week after week.